Hey y'all, hey, welcome to another episode of the Sacred and Profane Podcast. It's Neftara Grace, your favorite embodied goddess, aka the Shadow Queen. And we're going to talk a little bit, just a little teeny tiny bit tonight, today, wherever the hell you are in the world, whatever the day it is you listening to this, about why I'm called the Shadow Queen. So I think I alluded in the first episode to, I didn't give myself that name, right? So look, for those of you walking a spiritual path, you already know the spiritual path, Lord Jesus, names are important, and you don't name yourself on your spiritual path. Now, some of you know me, most of you don't. For those of you who do, you know I have a lot of names. I've been on my path for a moment. I've had the pleasure of, oh my goodness, sitting at the feet of some amazing mentors from all over the world. And every culture does their thing a little bit differently. And every culture that I've sat with, whose wisdom I've intoned and immersed myself in, has given me a name. Okay, that's a fancy way of saying I've been initiated into a lot of spiritual lineages, right? And did the work such that I earned a name. But the name the Shadow Queen came from the other side, the other realm. So there's some big hitters, some heavy hitters on the other side who gave me the name the Shadow Queen. And I was really surprised when I got that name, right? Like, what that means? So we're going to talk today a little bit, again, just a teeny tiny bit about why I'm the Shadow Queen. What does that look like and what the hell does it mean? All right. So as a reminder, this is the Sacred and Profane Podcast. It is absolutely not for anybody under the age of 18. Every episode, including this one, is going to trigger you. You know our request. If you hear something that makes you uncomfortable, please sit in that discomfort and use it as an access point to your own shadow work. Okay, let's get it. So right off the bat, we're gonna we're gonna find out who's listening here. Actually, who gave me the name the Shadow Queen was the Jinn. Now I know there's a whole lot of chatter out in these spiritual streets about the Jinn. Now my Arabic friends know something. The rest of y'all don't know too much. But here's what I'm gonna tell you. I got love for the Jinn and they got love for me. Now, that's a whole nother episode. And for the sake of this conversation, that's who gave me the name the Shadow Queen. Now, I gotta tell you, when the Jinn give you a name, it's not like you're gonna go, nah, it's the Jinn, okay? So they said, you're the Shadow Queen. I said, bet, okay. And then I began to take a look at the path that I had been on up until that point that led me to that moment where I'm in conversation with the Jinn King and he tells me my name in his realm, what they call me over there. Okay. Now I had received plenty of names from other deities, entities. I'm telling you, that's been my path. But again, when the Jinn give a name, I sat down, I took several seats. Let me check myself. How did I get this name? So what I'm going to relate to you in the style of a story, okay, is going to give you an idea, a glimpse as to why I'm called the Shadow Queen, okay? So at some points, this story may sound funny. It may sound ridiculous. You may think, what in the actual hell? What I want you to know is that every single thing I'm about to tell you is the truth. It is my life. And let me tell you, it's actually just another day in the life, okay? This is literally how my life goes, flows, gets down, and throws, okay? So one day, and by the way, I may or may not change the names to protect the innocent. Only you will know for sure if you are in this story. How's that? Okay? But we all know I'm in the story because I'm sharing with you why I'm called the Shadow Queen. Okay? So one day I am, in my life, like most of you are in your life, except for I've got children and a couple businesses and a mate. So I'm in my life doing those things, which, as you know, take up a lot of life. Okay? Cooking and cleaning. I homeschool my kids. I got a whole life over here. Okay? And my family and I decide that where we're living at the time isn't suited to the lifestyle we want. This is post-pandemic. We're in a certain part of the country that has changed drastically after the pandemic. So we say, okay, we want to live someplace, air quote, safer. Now, of course, what we meant by that is we wanted to live someplace that had lower crime. We wanted a lower crime rate to raise our kids around. We wanted a rural setting, a place where I could garden. I did mention I love to garden, where I could garden and, commune with nature and be at peace. That is what we were after. And so and I do mean over 6 months of looking from state to state to state to state to state to state to state, we settle on a state in the central part of the country. Hello, Arkansas. And we said, okay, well, Arkansas is the natural state. It's going to be a good fit. They produce gemstones and crystals. Y'all know I love me some crystals and gemstones. It just seemed like a good fit. We do the thing, and it's a big deal to move halfway across the country with a family, right? We do that. We find a little town. It's like, a little picture perfect town with a little village, this, a little that, right? Population 2,000. I mean, there's nobody there. It's in the middle of nowhere. And I gotta tell you, one of the first things we notice is there's no good coffee. There's no good coffee. And I am one of those clean eating, organic, non-GMO, did it come from the earth, prepared by loving hands, people. That's my choice. That's my will, and I express it. And so I find myself in rural Arkansas where everything is fried. Y'all know I'm originally from Atlanta. I ain't scared of nothing fried, but my goodness. Every meal, every day. I can't do it, Arkansas. I can't do it. So I said, no, you know what we're going to do? We're going to, I've had a dream, 20 years, to own a cafe. What would it look like? How could this happen? Do you know, it was just a thought in the back of my mind. And before you know it, we literally had manifested a cafe. Now, this episode isn't about the cafe, so I'm not going to get into how that happened, but here's what you should know. It happened. Okay, so we moved to Arkansas, and I'm going to tell you though, I'm going to give you the timeline. We moved to Arkansas, and within 2 weeks of moving to Arkansas, I had accepted an invitation to attend a ceremony on a reservation with the Lakota people in South Dakota. And as it was an offer I simply couldn't refuse. It's not every day I get an invitation from an indigenous community to come do ceremony with them. And as a shaman and a healer, I absolutely was honored. I absolutely said I'll be there. And so I moved with my family to Arkansas, and then 2 weeks later, I'm on the road to South Dakota for ceremony. Okay. I spent wonderful, very surreal time in ceremony with the Lakota. Brief note, well, that's another episode. We'll get into my time with the Lakota. Brief note, it was profoundly spiritual and profoundly sad. Okay? And we'll talk about that. We'll unpack that in another conversation. So now, I'm coming back from South Dakota to Arkansas. I did drive. It's a 2-day thing. It's not, South Dakota, Arkansas, not close. Get back. Okay, bada boom, bada bing. That was the end of September. By the end of November, I've got keys for the cafe in my hand. And I'm looking at my partner like, okay, well, let's try to open before Christmas. Now, everybody said you're crazy. You cannot open a cafe in the dead of winter in the middle of nowhere. No one's going to come. We said, okay, right? We did it anyway. I'm an Aries. My partner's a Leo. We did it anyway. Tell us what. Well, you know what happened, of course. Everybody and their grandma came because there's nothing else open in the dead of winter in the middle of nowhere. And coffee is a hot beverage. So it turns out we did have business. Yay, hooray. Now, here's where the story gets really juicy. Because I know what I've shared up until now was just kind of like blase every day, right? But for real, this is where the story gets juicy. So unbeknownst to us, okay, unbeknownst to me, any of us, people were watching us. Now that, if you know me, and most of you don't, to say that people were watching us is an understatement. You're probably laughing under your breath like, okay, let me try again for you. I did mention the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. Let me continue to paint the picture by letting you know I absolutely was the only person of color in this region. Okay. And not only that, um, whew, I'm the only person of color, like my partner is not a person of color. Okay. Yeah. So there was just a lot of nuances going on here in the background. So people were watching us. They were watching us. Y'all, they were watching us. They were watching us. And unbeknownst to us, there was a group of people. Now you gotta listen, you gotta listen. There was a group of people who considered themselves to be witches and warlocks. Now let me pause here and let you guys know I love my witch community because I love my spiritual community. And I understand that my spiritual community expresses itself in a myriad of ways. I don't judge any of the ways my spiritual community expresses itself. I really don't. How can I? I mean, hello, how can I judge you? Okay. Unfortunately, a lot of my fellow spiritual people do not practice the same non-judgmental behavior that I do. So this group of witches and warlocks very quickly determined that not only was I different, but there was something about me that they were curious about. Now, at first, it was quiet. Okay, so you got to picture a cafe in the middle of nowhere. It's wintertime. People come in, people go out. People come in, people go out. That's what they do. It's a cafe. And then one day, I noticed somebody comes in and they're wearing a pentacle. I love the pentacle. I love any symbol of power, y'all. Come on now, y'all. Come on now. So I said, "Ooh, I like your shirt." The woman rolled her eyes. Okay, whatever. Whatever. I just said I liked your shirt. Well, over the course of a couple weeks, and every other customer who came in was sporting some type of pentacle or da, da, da. Now I know what you're saying. You're saying, Niptora, where the hell did you say you was? Yeah, I know that's what you're saying right now. I was in rural Arkansas. That's what I said. I was in rural Arkansas. Okay. All right. So now, unbeknownst to me, to my partner, right? This group of witches and warlocks, and let me tell you this, y'all know how it is in a small town. This group ran deep. Now, I didn't know this. Remember, I'm new. I literally just moved there. So I didn't know that some of these witches and warlocks were a part of the local city government, were a part of the local law enforcement. You know, I didn't know that. I didn't know. How could I know? People come buy coffee and then they leave. Well, what I didn't know was that somebody had sussed out my energy and decided that I had strong energy, strong enough for them to covet my energy. Now look, I'm telling you, this is where it gets juicy. Pay attention. Strong enough for them to covet my energy and make a plan to steal it from me. You heard me. You heard me. Now, look, y'all know out here in the spiritual community, there's a lot we do not agree on. And one of the things we don't agree on in the spiritual community is destiny swapping real? Can you actually change your destiny with somebody? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. And this is not a story about destiny swapping, but I got one of those. That's for another episode. See why there's a podcast? Because I could just go on for lifetimes. Because I have been on this path for lifetimes. So I know destiny swapping is real, but I know about destiny swapping from Egypt. See, that's a whole nother conversation. See what I did there? Right here in rural Arkansas, what I can tell you is somebody thought they knew what destiny swapping was. See, they thought they knew something. Okay. So in the background of me living my life, homeschooling my kids, being with my partner, pulling espresso, managing my other businesses, minding my business, living my life, there is a group of people plotting and scheming on how to approach me so they can get in my good graces and then siphon my energy and slowly steal what's mine. No, don't worry. The story gets better. I know I can hear you rolling your eyes. Let me tell you how this went. Okay. So one day, somebody comes in, guy comes in, and he's, oh, I need a job. Now, it just so happens that we needed a cook for the cafe, right? So I was like, yeah, any cook experience? Yeah, I cooked at the restaurant down the street. Okay, I'm new. I'm new in this community. So I fact check. I start asking around, hey, does anybody know this guy? Yes. Did he used to cook over there? Yes. Okay. Can you, now listen, I know what you're thinking, but I did this. Can you tell me anything about him? Why is he not there anymore? And of course, that's hearsay at that point, right? But I still want to know. It's a small town. Y'all know people in small town talk shit about everybody. So I want to know what's going on with this person. This is what I heard. They used to have a problem with substances, but they're clean now. But that might be why they lost that job. I said, okay. I can get that. I can get that. I'm from Atlanta. I lived in New York. I lived in Philly. I lived in Jacksonville. I've been around. Hell, I was a teenager once. I mentioned I grew up in Atlanta, right? So I can get that this person might have had a substance abuse problem, but now they're clean. They're trying to get their life together. You know what? Okay. Show me a restaurant in this country where somebody in the kitchen hasn't dealt with a substance abuse. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm real slow to judge, y'all. I'm real slow to judge. I said, okay. So I went back to the person and said, look, there's this big event coming up. You know, we really do need a cook. Why don't we give it a try? Can you tell me why you left your last place of employment? And the guy says, well, you know, I was having a hard time in life. I was struggling. I had a substance abuse problem and it just didn't work out. I said, okay. Because that matched what I'd heard around town, right? Okay. All right. That's great. 1 + 1 is equal to 2. Okay. I said, well, look, I'm not here to judge you on that. I'm just going to say, you know, don't bring anything here. We're not doing that here. This is a family restaurant, blah, blah, blah. I hope you're better, all the things. If for any reason you're not better, you know, we're going to have to let you go. That's what it is. I made sure we had those conversations. That's the responsible thing to do, right, y'all? Okay, right. So the guy starts work. You know, you get a new cook, you got to train them. If you don't know, now you know. You got to train. You know, people, they may have had experience at the other place, but that doesn't mean they know how to do it the way that you're doing it at your place, right? So over the course of training, this guy lets on that he's actually dealing with a major health concern, okay? Now look, I said I may or may not change names to protect the innocent. Ain't nobody really innocent here. Let's keep it 100. But I'm not going to talk about someone's personal medical history because that just doesn't work. What I'm going to tell you is that there's a major health concern that this person alluded to. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. And this is what I tell anybody who works with me, who begins to tell me their personal business like that, right? This is a big deal. I told him, like I tell everybody, hey, first of all, you should know that's your personal business. That's not my business. Okay. Um, I am not going to talk about your business with anyone outside of this. And if you bring it to me because it's a concern with your job, with your work, I'm going to listen and support you in coming up with the best way to move forward. Okay. So that's what I said to this guy. Listen, is this going to be a problem with working here? No. I just wanted you to know that, you know, I'm dealing with this. Okay. I said, well, look, you're new. You don't know me. I don't know you. And if we get to a point in your working here where you feel comfortable enough we can have a conversation around what are some things you can do to begin to heal. Okay. Right. Now, at the time, you guys, side note, I was already juicing. I love to juice. Cold pressed juice, fresh fruits and vegetables in the morning. And so I was already juicing and serving my staff this fresh juice. I was like, listen, if you have a health concern, we can start at the bottom, start with some fresh juice, work our way up. It's your business. You don't got to do it. It's not a requirement to work here. The guy says, no, I really want to heal. I really want to be better. I've got kids. This is horrible. Oh man, I understand that, right? I got kids. I understand. But it's new. You're new. This is new, right? So like a week goes by and the guy comes back and he says, oh, I really been looking for some real friends. I've had a rough go. I mentioned I dealt with substance abuse. It's because I had some problems in my childhood and I made some bad choices. And this is a small town and it's been really hard for me to make new friends and to just be around people where I can make better choices. Oh my gosh, I totally understand that. Don't you? I understood. I said, I really understand that. It is a small town and I know from experience it can be hard to quote unquote turn over a new leaf when everyone around you remembers the old you. It can be virtually impossible. So you guys know I used to work for one of the largest personal and professional growth training and development programs and companies in the world. Okay. And something we used to coach our clients around is look, when you begin to make major life changes, it's going to impact all of your relationships. People are going to struggle to see the new you because likely you made some big messes and you didn't clean them up. So even if you guys know, any of you who've dealt with alcohol or drugs or any type of addiction at all, you know what it's like to get better, okay? To stop the behavior, but then have your family and friends believe that you stopped. They really don't believe it, right? I mean, they say good for you, but they're kind of still giving you the side eye. So that's what this guy said he was experiencing. I understand. I understood. And I still understand. That's very real. That's very, very real. That happens. So I said to the guy, hey, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. That's actually normal. Depending on how deep your addiction was and how messy your behavior got, some people might not ever see the new you. If it begins to stop you from progressing, you may consider changing your environment. You know what? That's what anybody would tell you. You can probably Google that advice. I'm not trying to be funny, but this is coming from someone who coached people for over 20 years and was in a clinical psychology environment before transpersonal psychology and transformational coaching. That's just kind of the advice you get. Hey, if your environment is keeping you down, shift your environment. Okay? Like that's just like 1 + 1 = 2. So the guy goes on to say, well, you know what? Working here is a really big deal for me. I've never been treated this well before. You guys know, right? And I could get that too because, duh, we're in the middle of nowhere, Arkansas. And I mentioned I'm serving fresh juice in the morning with organic food and organic coffee. You guys gotta get, there was not a place to get coffee within 50 miles around this cafe. Okay. It really was a food desert and a food desert. So this continues. Now, at this point, as we're training in the kitchen, I'm hearing some things in my left ear. You guys know what I'm saying? My ear starts ringing, then I get a message. And then my right ear starts ringing and I get a message. And now I'm listening very closely to where it's coming out of his mouth because my ears start ringing a lot. Okay. And I listened to this guy say that he remembers who he is and he wants what's his. And I said, well, that's interesting. And he looks at me and he says, I knew you in a past life. I looked at him and I said, yes. You guys, once again, I'm not trying to be funny. I did mention I've been on my path for several lifetimes. Several. lifetimes. And it's very rare for me to not recognize somebody from a past life. I just do. I just do. I came into this lifetime with the express intention of cleaning up messes, of completing missions, because this is my last embodied lifetime in this realm on this planet. Okay. So I knew the moment I saw this guy who he was from the past. I knew. But I'm not the person that goes around saying, "Oh my God, I know you from." That's not me. Because forget who you used to be. I'm trying to track who you are now. Okay, who are you now? So he goes on and on about this past life and what he remembers and this, that, and the other and third. Okay, yeah, yeah. But my ears are still ringing. And then he starts to say something really interesting. He says, I have a throne, I have a crown, I want it back. And I looked at him, you guys, a dead ass. I said, well, then you need to do the work to get it back. Dead ass. He looked at me. He said, well, I also have this, and he started listing off things that he remembered from his past life. He said, but it's being hidden from me, and I want it back. And I said, well, you're going to have to do the work to get it back. He looked at me again. He said, what do you mean, do the work to get it back? It's mine. Aha, I said. It may be yours, but if you incarnate it and you don't have access to it, then there's something for you to do to regain access. Ask me how I know. He says, well, what kind of work are we talking about? I said, shadow work. Duh. Remember, I'm telling you guys a story that'll give you a tiny glimpse into why I'm called the Shadow Queen. So stick with me here. Stick with me. I know it's a long story, but not really. Stick with me. So he says, oh, that's funny you should say that. I just got a shadow work drone off of Amazon. I got it. I didn't open it. I'm going to open it. I said, well, please do more than open it. Do the work. Don't just open it. Do the work. So another week passes by, right? And now he's very, very adamant in his conversations about wanting what's his, reclaiming his throne and his crown, and all the things that go with it. In the meantime, he's doing a very poor job cooking in my kitchen. I'm a businesswoman. Let's keep it a buck here. A very poor job cooking in my kitchen. Okay. So I listen. I'm an Aries female. I was not always able to listen, you guys. I used to be very impulsive. A Gemini rising. I used to experience something or hear, like channel something and then open my mouth right away. But I grew out of that. So I'm getting all these messages and I'm like, bet. And now to the guy, I'm just listening. I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in. Taking it all in. And then he begins to test me. I don't know about you, but I know when I'm being tested. I know when I'm being tested. He starts testing me. Now, in the meantime, he's testing me. And my spiritual protection, which is already pretty deep, I do the finger snap thing and we just go ahead and roll it out real deep. We get real deep because I'm trying. Why are you testing me on my territory? Yeah, I'm going to let that hang for a minute. How you going to come into my house and test me? So I already know where this is going. Okay. You probably do too at this point. Well, sure enough, after a series of, let's call them foolish events, okay, a series of foolish events, I say to him to his face, whatever you're doing, you should stop now. What are you talking about? He says. I said, I've been very clear with you from the beginning. For you to have what you want, You have to do shadow work. But you keep coming at me like I can just give you what you want. It doesn't work like that. This is what he says to me. I knew the moment I saw you, you were powerful. I could feel the power coming off of you. I went back and told my friends that you were powerful and that I would get a job here. This is how he started talking to me. And I would get a job here. I said, okay, here we are. I'm tired of not having anything. I want what's mine. He was just repeating himself. I said, I really get that. I'm going to stop talking because I'm telling you how to get it and you're not listening. He said, you haven't told me how to get it. I said, yes, I have. It's shadow work. Oh my God, he was so pissed. He was so pissed. So to make a long story less long, at that point, what he chose to do was stop. I mean, just stop altogether pretending. Gloves off, he began to go out, purchase glass jars. Y'all know what I'm about to say. Take images of me from social media and do these spells, these rituals on me. I hope you're laughing because I did. So the next time I saw the guy, because listen, I did mention a series of foolish events, but one of those events was so foolish, I said, you're fired. You're fired. He actually got fired twice, but we're not going to go there in this conversation. You're fired. You're fired. Okay. So, after a couple weeks of being fired, he came in as a customer to buy his, chai tea latte, his matcha, whatever. And I said, hey, while you're here, are you doing love spells on me? You should have seen his eyes. Ooh, yeah. I said, please stop. Please stop. Don't do that anymore. Anybody with any common sense would have been scared at that moment. At that moment. Any witch or warlock worth their salt being called out that directly to their face would have immediately ceased and desisted the behavior. He didn't. I said it. And there's a woman in your space. She's lighting candles on me. Go ahead and tell her to stop too. Y'all, he looked at me like I was crazy. Okay. Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you to make this story short. Not only did he not stop and that woman not stop, but he went and got reinforcements. He said, well, listen, whatever's going on, she can tell that I'm the one doing it. So he went and got somebody else to do it. Like I wouldn't know it was still him doing it. Y'all see you see what I'm talking about here? See what he did there? See what he did there? Well, this is how that all went down. Okay. At this point, I've told him nicely, stop playing in my face. Stop lighting candles. Don't buy another jar. Imagine doing hex work on somebody and then going to see if it's working and them telling you, hey, would you stop doing that, please? It's annoying me. How would you feel? Well, I can tell you how he felt. He was fucking pissed. So instead of stopping, he went and got 3 more people. 3 more people. 5 people. 5 people. Lighting candles, chanting, graveyard dirt in the jar every full moon over and over again. Y'all, this went on for months, 6 months. I'm telling you, 6 months, man. Six is crazy, man. Crazy. Now look, I told the guy, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't do hex, or I don't do Banecraft. He looked at me like I was stupid. He said, what? You never? I said, no, I don't hex anybody. I don't do that. He said, well, some people deserve it. I said, well, look, be that as it may, my ancestors, they ride deep and they ride for me, baby. They don't mess around. They don't play about me. So I don't do hex work. He thought I was kidding. Those of you who have ancestor altars lit up right now, I hear you laughing because y'all already know. And I looked at him, I said, do you have an ancestor altar? He shook his head like he didn't know what I was talking about. I said, oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. In the words of my dad, she. Well, how the story ends is not pretty. So I'm not going to give you the gory details. What I am going to say is it took 6 months, 6 months of foolish choice after foolish choice after foolish choice for him and the whole coven that he had created to come against me with to get that not only was their spell work not working, but everything they threw at me was being sent back to them times 10. Let me repeat that. Not only was their spell work not spelling, what making no dollars or no kind of sense, it was being returned to them times 10. Not, but listen, I don't do hex work, bank card. Remember I said, I don't do that. But my ancestors don't play about me. And they ride deep. Some of my ancestors are straight thug. You understand? And I know I began this conversation by mentioning that a Jinn King told me I was a Shadow Queen. Baby, when a Jinn King tells you, but see, they didn't know that. This guy didn't know that. He didn't know that. He didn't check my spiritual credentials. He didn't check my ancestral lineage. All he saw was what he thought he wanted. And when I told him how to get it with shadow work, because that's how I got everything I have, aka the Shadow Queen, he thought I was talking out the side of my neck, and he decided he would just take mine and be me. I want a platform, he says. I'm a leader. I want people to listen to me. I can channel. I have psychic visions. I can do what you're doing. He said this. I can do what you're doing. I said, okay. Well, you should go do that. No one's stopping you. Go do that. But he didn't go do that. He chose to sit with other people, throw shade at me so he could take what's mine. Well, it did not end well for him or those other 4 people. I'm going to tell you why. Because somewhere along my path, I balanced both the light and the dark inside me. I balanced my light and my shadow and then integrated both. So when you meet me, you meet someone who's whole and complete. And for the most part, people respond and react to me because they haven't met anyone who's balanced like that. Okay? Because I'm so balanced, when someone's throwing spellcraft at me, I can just feel it and go, oh, that's annoying. Like, oh my God, get that fly out of here. And I can say to the person, hey, please stop. Please don't do that. And I'm not saying don't do that for any other reason than I don't want to see you hurt yourself. Right? I got kids, y'all, right? It's like when my little boy is, you guys, if you have kids, you know, my little boy's doing something that's actually dangerous. And I'm like, honey, please don't do that. And, he's a little boy. So he's rocking back in the chair even harder. What? What are you talking about, Mom? I'm like, baby, don't do that. Because the chair could slip from under you. You fall and bust your head. Don't do that, baby. Don't do that. My son rocking the chair, it's not hurting me. I just don't want to see him hurt himself. This fool and these hoes out here throwing magic at me, it's not hurting me. I just want to see them hurt themselves, okay? That's all it is. But they kept going. And so they hurt themselves. Here's what they didn't understand. The shadow that I had integrated was 10 times bigger than the evil they were trying to throw at me. See, on my path, I've lived through pure, actual, evil, heinous acts done against my person. That's how I learned to transmute energy and balance my light and my shadow so well. The Jinn know me as a shadow queen because that's how long I spent in the dark. That's how long I sat in my shadows until I found my crown in the fucking mud and put it on my head, okay? Everything I have, I got out of the mud. I am the lotus blossom. These people could not comprehend that someone who brought so much light could have risen from so much darkness, a darkness deeper than anything they themselves had ever experienced. They couldn't comprehend it. They could not comprehend that the very entities they were calling on to attack me would turn around and attack them instead, because these entities called me queen. They couldn't comprehend it. What they saw from me was someone who radiates pure love, pure light, pure heart. It never occurred to them. Years ago, I was living in Asheville and I went to one of those spiritual meetups. And a woman approached me and she goes, "Holy cow, your aura. It's been so long since I've seen somebody with that kind of light. Your light is so pure and profound." I looked at her and I said, "You don't get to shine this kind of light without having been through some kind of darkness. I'm always going to keep it 100 with you. Okay. I'm not out here loving light, loving light. No, I am loving light. I don't have to talk about it. And I'm loving light because I've already been the opposite. That's how I know what love and light is, because I've been not love and light. All right. I'm here to tell you the name the Shadow Queen was given to me because I've done my work and earned my crown. And I gave warning to this warlock and his coven of witches. Don't come for me if I didn't call you. My ancestors, they some thugs. They waiting for you. They see that man at the crossroads. That's my family. Don't call. Nope. Don't do. Put that graveyard. Don't do it. Don't close that jar. Oh shit. You know, sealed your fate. For God's sakes, don't bury it. You put it on your own backyard. My God, I can't even help y'all out here. Now, this is for everybody listening. This warlock and these witches, y'all gotta know they was getting their information from Witch Talk. This is me doing a public service announcement for the spiritual community. Stay the fuck off social media, getting your magical experience. Don't do that, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's what happened to these. They got caught up in some witch talk. I don't even know about it. I don't know. I don't know why. Okay. Let that social media crap go. Connect with your ancestors. You might get some power that way, but don't do what they did. What I want to leave you with is this. Do your shadow work. Do your shadow work. Right now, there's a bunch of no-rank demons running around body hopping, trying to snuff out the light of whoever they can get their hands on. The only way to protect yourself is to do your shadow work. The only way out is through. It's a Chinese finger trap. As a reminder, shadow work is a bit, you can get, hey, Amazon, Google it. This you can Google. You can Google shadow work. You can go to Amazon.com and get a shadow work journal. Hell, you can get on my website and get one for free. Download it for free. That's just what it is. It's an opportunity for you to deal with the parts of you that you've been too ashamed to express. That's what it is in a nutshell. The parts of you that you hate, the parts of you you don't want anyone to know about, the parts of you that you think, oh my God, if people knew they'd run and hide. You actually go find those parts. Because here's the thing, until you do shadow work, you don't even know what your shadow is. You're just running from it. You're just running from it. Trying to drink it away, fuck it away, snort it away, shoot it away. It doesn't go away. It's your shadow. Hello, wherever you go, there it is. It's never going away. At some point, you have to turn and face it. You've got to integrate it. So when you walk together. So when you make choices in your life, you're making the choice, not your shadow. You're not going to get rid of your shadow. You can heal it and integrate it. That's the whole point. And baby, let me tell you, the devil himself came for me and had to have several fucking seats because I'd already spent my time in hell. Do you understand? I'd already paid that price. There was nothing else to pay. But y'all know the devil will be satisfied. Y'all already know how he works. He gonna be satisfied. So because he couldn't get my ass, whose ass do you think he got? Who do you think got if it wasn't me? When you don't do your shadow work, you put a target on your back. When you do your shadow work, there's a target on your back, but you ain't never gonna feel the arrow, okay? You'll know. You'll get ringing in your ears. Look, you lighting candles, you need to stop. You're gonna hurt yourself. Don't do that. Some of these people lost their life after this. You gotta get that. Because what they wanted was my life. Do you understand? They wanted my bank account, my family, my business, my platform, my voice, my influence. That's what they wanted. They wanted to be me. That's what I'm saying. They thought they were going to destiny swap. See what I'm saying? But I ain't seen no real destiny swapping since Egypt. If you was there, you know what I'm talking about. But this modern day, y'all don't nobody here know what they're doing. They don't know how to do nothing like that. They don't understand how destiny swapping works and what it actually requires. All you got to do is do your shadow work. It is the best spiritual protection you have against hexes, black magic, evil eye. It doesn't matter what the enemy comes at you with. It doesn't matter what your ops are on. It doesn't matter who's on demon time. Do your shadow work, protect your neck. That's what it is. I'm going to leave this conversation here. I know it was a little different, but look, you got a lot of problems this night. Future conversations, stay tuned. And please don't miss the moral of the story. In these times, in these dark times, your shadow work is what's going to see you through. You can give praises to the Most High. I do every day. I do not wake up a day without expressing gratitude to the Most High. I won't do it. I don't go to sleep without expressing gratitude to the Most High. And that does not preclude me from doing my shadow work. Do you understand? My heart is pure. I know who Jesus is. And that does not preclude me from doing my shadow work. Do you understand? My ancestor altars stay lit. I roll deep with some people y'all wouldn't even dream of. I did mention I got love for the jinn and they love me, and that does not excuse me from my shadow work. Do not get caught slipping, y'all. It ain't the time or the place. Peace.